I love cookies. I love sharing cookies. But a plate like this just isn't exciting enough for sharing. So today, we're gonna build the most exciting cookie box you've ever seen. It's gonna have to have a cool lid, kind of like this, and also an unnecessary lifting mechanism for dramatic effect. So let's get into it. I'm gonna need to make hundreds of parts, but... farts? I'm gonna need to make hundreds of parts, but instead of making them all chronologically, I'll do all of the refinement of raw materials and prepare precise blanks in bulk in order to save a lot of time. To those of you who say that my table saw is outdated and dangerous, yes, but I will very soon consider maybe thinking about buying a new one. Sometimes my planer kind of messes up the beginnings and ends of boards, so I try to force a bunch of them in at once to trick it into thinking that it's just one long board. It didn't really help, so this is me displaying mild anger. Looking over the list of the required materials, I think that I should have used a different pen color for this. This is giving me flashbacks from all of my failed high school exams. Before using any of those blanks we just made, I'll first laser cut some plywood parts that will form a strong hidden core on which everything else will be mounted. I need to glue these parts very precisely, so I made this jig to help do that. We can now start making the inside walls and the lifting mechanism. I'll need a lot of short dowels, and this is the fastest and most satisfying way I found of making them. The nice thing about making parts that are identical is that they are very easy to sand together. I like using wood glue in combination with super glue because super glue dries quick and holds the piece in place, while the wood glue provides most of the strength. These discs will be responsible for lifting the cookie plate like this. And these gears on the outside of the box are here to connect them all together. I do love my laser cutter, but I don't like the cheap look it gives to my builds. So to hide this as much as possible, I'll round off a lot of these edges and use a dark stain to make the burn marks blend in more. You know, when I came up with the idea for a cookie box, it was only supposed to be a one-day build, and the lifting mechanism would be like some funny novelty. But once I started designing the 3D model, things got out of hand fast. And that's how I ended up with this ridiculously pointless and over-engineered design. This thing is really stupid, but also difficult to build, and that is not a very motivating thought to have when things go wrong. Now, this might look a bit extreme and unnecessary, but it's a really good way of breaking in the mechanism and making it run smoother. And besides, as the old saying goes, if your cookie box can handle being run at 1900 RPM, it will probably withstand regular use. Fine-tuning the mechanism took so much longer than expected, so I'm really looking forward to this next part, as it's far more simple and relaxing. You might think that being a good woodworker means being precise and doing things perfectly, but I think it has a lot more to do with strategically designing things in such a way that lets you cover up and hide all of your imperfections. And you'll see a lot of that with all of these decorative pieces I'm adding. This is a bit out of nowhere, but I want to give a shout out to BMO14 Lax, or however that name is pronounced. This guy has been with the channel for a very long time, and he's usually one of the first people to comment on my videos, and I think that's really, really cool, so thank you. If you've ever had the misfortune of having to surround a complicated shape like this with decorative trim, you'll know exactly how difficult it is to get the angle perfectly right. Relying on these numbers is a waste of time because the precision you need is much higher. My solution to this is getting a bigger piece, cutting it like this, and then, okay. You know, as much as I love this arm, I never get used to that. Anyway, you can check how bad your angle is. I think this is good enough. I don't know if you saw that, but I almost just tried turning on the iron by pressing this green button, which actually activates this machine. Luckily there wasn't anything blocking it, but I was really tired here, and I was just hoping that the heat from the iron would speed up the gluing process, but this is what happened instead. Oh, that's so much worse. Why did I think this would make it faster? No, no. I should just clamp this down. Surely if I try harder it's gonna be better, right? I'm gluing these pieces of veneer together to form a really thin and strong plywood for delicate and decorative pieces. This is not a very fun process for me. I don't know if it's okay to call a router bit cute, but this is definitely the cutest one I've got. I think I'm losing my mind a little bit. Check this out. I need to cut these pieces into pieces like these to make a circle around. But Not only is it really tricky getting the angle right, like I said before, the fact that they're so wide makes your mistakes even more visible, and the biggest problem is that each angle is very unique. It's like slightly different. And let's say you get it wrong and you want to cut off a little bit more to adjust it, all of a sudden the part is way too short and you're just screwed. My solution to this is to first create a temporary sacrificial rim and mark the degrees of adjustment needed for each cut. I can then use this as a guide to cut the final pieces perfectly first try, unlike my voiceover. I think it's pretty obvious that I like engineering and mechanisms, but sometimes I prefer not seeing them up this close. Don't get me wrong, they're cool and all, but I'd love it if they stayed in action movies and far away from my house.
Man irgi nelabai patinka.
Can we please just pinky promise to not nuke each other? Because my projects are very flammable. I asked my dad for advice on how I could get this specific angle, and he just told me, why don't you just adjust the fence on the jointer? I have been coming to this workshop for 19 years now, and I had no idea this thing moves. What a bizarre way to find out you're balding. Watch out, guys, it looks like a category 5.
My heart was an open flower, which I allowed you to come along and devour. Deep in my
Next up, I'll build the cookie plate that goes inside the box. It's not going to be connected to the box and will be easily removable. I'm not going to make it attached to the box in order to make the removal of the plate easier, and it will be made easier by the fact that the plate will not be connected to the box, as that would impair the removal of the plate.
I take time doing all that I can.
There is a common trope that engineers and manufacturers hate each other because of how much they both complicate each other's work, and that still rings true even when you're doing the role of both. When I was designing the lid, I went all out and did not hesitate to use the copy and paste command as much as I liked. I always disregard the fact that I'll end up actually having to make all of these parts. This whole mechanism could be simplified into a single moving part, but then again, it wouldn't be a true generic woodworking project then, would it? I'm gluing these latches onto the box. This is what's going to keep the lid from coming off. This is not a very strong way to connect them, so I'm going to use toothpicks to reinforce the connection, hopefully. As I was gluing these, some glue got onto one of these wheels and I tried to free it up with a hammer, but instead this is what happened. And it's still not free, it's still stuck.
My heart was an open flower, which I allowed you to come along and devour deep in my soul. But I was so in love with you, looked you in your eyes and told you I would be forever true. Oh, what a fool. Oh, what a fool. Oh, what a fool.
And so, after way longer than expected, the cookie box, together with its stupid and unnecessary lifting mechanism, is finally complete. But of course, it wouldn't be a true cookie box unless I used it for its intended purpose.